Speaking with Martin Peake from the Phoenix Icon Institute, and before the break we were talking about the diploma courses that you run, the Transpersonal Counselling and Transpersonal Art Therapy, which is a bit of a mouthful for me. But why would people be interested to study these types of programs? Because there's obviously an essence of who you are and an essence of this type of work. So what's in it for people to be interested to study it?
Yeah, it's a good question to ask, and it's not an easy one to answer, but simply put, in Australia, I guess over the last 15 years, there's been a tremendous interest in body therapies, in naturopathy and acupuncture and whatever. And so there's been quite a revolution in body therapies. But in terms of spiritual health or psychological health, we really haven't had much movement. And transpersonal work is really designed to train people to both be good at dealing with things psychologically, but also dealing with people's spiritual issues of meaning, issues of being connected. And that's the next big revolution in counselling, is having people who have the ability to recognise that problems aren't necessarily negative, not necessarily psychological, but they actually can be about meaning. And so the types of students we have are people who have often had they do a lot of reading, have had a lot of life experience, have come to their own conclusions about how they've been able to navigate through their life experience, and feel they actually have something to offer. And some of the conclusions they've reached in their own experience could be spiritual understandings, could be insights, could be recognizing that life isn't so much about dealing with problems, but life is also about a journey and things unfold. And so people who do our courses are people who recognise that healing is not so much about the elimination of symptoms. Healing is actually about being authentic. It's about trying to be truly who you are as a person. And that often is about helping people become more aware. So the more aware you become, the more authentic you become, the more powerful you become in terms of being able to navigate in your life. And so people who do our course are people who've had significant life experience and may have gone through significant tragedies, but have come out the other end and have something to offer. And so they can share their journey and assist other people in this journey of healing.
I don't know if this is a judgment or not, but it sounds a bit like it's people that have a bit more of a spiritual maturity or a more of a complete holistic viewpoint that will be attracted to this type of work. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair to say. And also some of those people are people who've gone through the mainstream system and actually been damaged or wounded by it as well. And they think, well, there must be another way. If when you think about it, if I say to you, what do you do to become physically fit? You'll say, well, I exercise, I sleep, and I do a range of things. But if I said to you, Steve, how would you become psychologically and spiritually fit? What are the prerequisites for that? What would you do? And you probably wouldn't take Prozac or Rohypnol. You'd probably think, well, I probably have to have a belief system. I have to have some rituals which remind me of that. I have to have a way of life which is worthwhile, a community which supports me. So there's a lot of things which are important to consider in becoming spiritually and psychologically fit to get through in this world.
Great analogy, actually. What do students get from the course? And I guess that's sort of partly been answered, but I guess they get a lot of their own internal healing, because there's certainly, from what we've spoken about, and I've said this already, but it does seem that there's more of a higher end of category of people who would want to be practitioners in this field. Do people really go through a huge alteration and shift? Do they become lighter in themselves?
It's a good... The course, it's interesting because if you do a tertiary course, often the model is that you have to absorb a lot of information and regurgitate it. Whereas in our programs, what we really want from our students is for them to bring their life experience into the course and to reframe it in a transpersonal perspective. And so a lot of the work they do is actually on their own experience, but looking at it in terms of a transpersonal perspective, so that they do go through a lot of transformation. The course isn't therapy, it's training. But when you reflect on your life and a lot of things do come up, there's opportunities of healing and moving on. The course is designed to help people become more authentic and aware of what they need to do to live a rich and full life. Because a lot of our medical models are based on ill health, not bliss, ecstasy, joy. It's actually you're either normal or you're unhealthy. Whereas our course says and it's for mainstream, that you can improve the quality of life emotionally, spiritually, and in relationships through these sorts of processes.
And again, you can't really counsel someone unless you've at least got an awareness of going through that experience yourself.
Absolutely. A lot of people who do our courses too are people who are on the cusp of some sort of life transition. So you can go through a disaster and have a life transition, or you can actually navigate through a course like this, which helps you get to the other side of where you want to be heading.
There's two distinct courses. I know I've mentioned transpersonal counselling a couple of times, but there's also transpersonal art therapy. What's the significant difference between the two of those?
The counselling is really broad in terms of developing counselling skills on a one-to-one basis. It's a little bit more cognitive, but also is very experiential. Whereas art therapy, the whole premise is based on the act of being creative is in itself a healing process. So in art therapy, you use clay, movement, music, drawing to externalize internal feelings or anxieties or problems. And so it's a bit like, if you cut your hand, the body will heal itself. It has its physiological mechanisms. In art therapy, if you go through a psychological crisis or some sort of breakdown, if you allow yourself to express what's there without interfering, the psyche will heal itself. It has a self-healing mechanism if you don't interfere with it. So
that's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, so the art therapy is about allowing people to express feelings and moods in different mediums.
And once people have completed the studies, I imagine some people will just do the transpersonal counselling, some others will do transpersonal art therapy. Once they've completed that, I guess some people might do both if they want to be extremely busy.
Both. Yeah.
But what do they then go on and do?
Well, apart from having a powerful life experience, certainly what it does, it sharpens up the sense of what they want to do, what direction they want to take in life. Some of them use it in their existing professions. Some set up as practitioners. Some go on and run workshops. We have a number of our graduates teaching in our programs, both in the other states as well. And some people go and use these in management areas as well, in workplaces and things like that. So, particularly art therapy, there's a whole range of possibilities that you can take that forward into. But in the counselling, a lot of our graduates either set up their own practice or work within their existing environment.
So how can people find out more information about this type of work?
Well, they can call the Institute on 03 9510 4264, or they can also look at our website as well.
Yeah, and your website is?
It's www.phoenixinstitute.com.au.
Well done. And we'll put that on the Pathways website as well. Look, thank you so much for coming on Pathways, Martin. It's been fantastic talking about transpersonal counselling.